feels happy. It feels like you're navigating through your own bliss and not being afraid of moving slowly and refining toward that. Hello, Capricorn. Hi Capricorn, I am Kristen and I'm a healer. In this video, you are going to get a full rundown of the Scorpio New Moon and how it affects you and your Capricorn placements. I begin with the astrology and I end with a card reading. If at any point in this video you feel connected with me and you would like to become a client of mine, you can do so by joining this link here and also in the bio. I welcome you. And as you all know, I am a global citizen and I love connecting with all of you on a worldly and global level. And so if you have not already, let me know where you're listening from in the comments and we can all connect and be a strong collective. Now, with all that being said, let's get into this. All right, so Capricorn, hello. Here we are with the Scorpio New Moon. And this moon is really important. It's quite powerful. I know normally the full moons are where I mention this in terms of transformational energy and things being bigger, especially when we're looking at eclipses. But this moon is actually very vital because it is a renewal and an energy that is transitioning you out of a paradigm. But before we get into it, let's do some reflections on the last moon transits from, I would say, October and what it is that we need to know there. Initially, we had the Libra new moon, which happened on the solar eclipse in Libra. This was big. For Capricorn, this moon was heavy, it was dark, it was deep. It really put you guys through it. It felt very shadowy, very mental. Insecurities could have come up about who it is that you are, how it is that you show up in the world, marriage, issues tied with contracts and feeling like you didn't belong where it is that you were, and that you might have been resistant or putting up a resistance to the communities around you, or the communities around you resisted you. But of course, this energy was here to get you to renew yourself and understand your personal empowerment and your presence in the world. Darkest before dawn, as I always say. So, you know, different themes came up tied to 10th house energy. Again, career, self-autonomy, and self-authority. Now that we're here at the Scorpio New Moon, this is a new reality tied to your social identity. So where you were broken down to be built back up in terms of your self-confidence and how it is that you show up and what it is that you do, this moon is saying, now that you know who you are, now that you know what it is that you do, what will you do with it? Who will you share it with? What new clients are you going to have? What customers are you going to have? If you are someone that works for other people, how do you want to show your work environment the new you? Either old work environments, or for many of you, a lot of you have been changing job positions, especially since October, the beginning of September. Some of you could have found yourselves losing your job either at the beginning of September or the beginning of October. You could have been abruptly fired, or you could have found yourself quitting. So now that you're in a new situation and you want to find a new position, or if you're looking at entrepreneurial pursuits, again, this is all tied to self-confidence about being able to relate to other people. How relatable are you? How much do people actually like you? And how do you want to show them the bare bones of your contribution in terms of the bigger perspective outside of simply just yourself? How can you show the work environment that you are a vital asset? And if you are an entrepreneur, how can you show your clients, your community, your, I guess, following, who it is that you truly are, and the value of what it is that you give and what it is that you can create. These are all themes that are coming up for you during this time on the external level. On an internal level, this is about you really wanting to show people your very authentic newborn self. You guys have gone through a lot, as I keep mentioning, and this year has been about a lot of change and a lot of transformation in terms of the shifts of your personal identity now that you have been healing at such an extreme degree. This year has been a lot about healing for you. Last year was a numerology number of 7, and yes, the year of the 7 is the year about healing. So yes, we brought the water when it comes to last year, really dealing with the shadow of things. This year is a Capricorn year, as it is the year of the 8, the year of karma, but it still was asking you guys to heal, but heal in a way that was more karmic, looking at the old and bringing about new. Whereas last year it was more about just healing what it is that was sitting residually. This time it was, if it happened in the past, how can you do it differently now? Some things were honestly just given to you because of the universal narrative of being in the 8th year. Being able to do something differently this time that you would have done maybe the wrong way in the past, being able to renew relationships, renew situations. And if the relationships weren't naturally in front of you, they could have been relationships that reflected old relationships that you had once experienced, being able to show up this time and giving you a way out in a way that you wouldn't have experienced previously. So all of these different dances tied to your social life, mainly because a lot of you guys during the Pluto transit have been broken down by your environments, by your paradigms, often feeling like fishes out of water, especially when we're looking at the Aries Chiron that has taken place since 2019. Where is your home? Where is your family? Who are you really? And if you hold a mother wound, that mother wound has been poking at you, pressing against your chest and asking you to allow yourself to be remothered, re-nurtured, realigned with yourself in a more healed way. So with all of that taking place, obviously we're at the bare bones of that. The Aries exits Chiron at the beginning of next year. Saturn is now going direct, and before we exit Scorpio season, the Scorpio season video can be found here. And also Pluto is leaving you as well before Scorpio exits out of its sign, out of its solar return. A lot of change. So with all of these transformations, this Scorpio new moon is asking you to be very on top of this transition. You guys could have been dealing with a little lethargic energy throughout October, and a lot of this had to do with emotional weight, kind of like a shadowiness, almost like a muckiness. The good thing about this Scorpio new moon is it puts a pep in your step. Scorpio and Capricorn have an interesting relationship with each other because the two can make each other feel very inspired, very ambitious by nature, right? So when Capricorn finds itself in the Scorpio season, you learn the value of networking, and that your network oftentimes is more powerful than what it is that you actually know, right? As they say, it's who you know, not what you know. Network equals net worth. And that's the thing I want you guys to hold on to, especially as we're looking at Aquarius coming back into Pluto. Network equals net worth, right? So who you know and how you show people who it is that you are, especially when we're looking at social media with Scorpio, is how you can make powerful transitions in your life for who it is that you've been wanting to be this entire time. Especially if we look back at the Scorpio full moon at the beginning of this year, which was happening, I think that happened during Taurus season, right? So looking back at that time period and the chapters that had to close, subjects that came up, conversations that came up, and here you are now at the second half of the year, asking to revisit those energies and get a renewal in it. Instead of feeling like you are a victim to your social paradigm or victim to your workplace, a victim to your family dynamics, or just, again, anything that's happening on the outside is reflective of what's going on the inside. So the parts of you that need to heal are rooted in who it is that you are, and the imbalance is tied to your own insecurities. At the end of the day, Capricorn has gone through a lot and a lot of change and a lot of transformation over a long period of time. If you have wounds, those wounds are definitely there for a reason. So it's a matter of, again, as we look back at what I said during the Pisces Saturn retrograde video, turning those wounds into wisdom and falling deeper in love with who it is that you are as you are. One of the gifts, again, of Scorpio energy is understanding how to love thyself in a way that can be very unconventional, being unafraid of your own shadows. And so through your shadows, you guys can find yourselves transitioning into a new narrative where things are a lot stronger for you and things feel a lot bit more full for you. And this new moon, again, is giving you that. More pep in your step, more energy, you're feeling more ambitious, you're feeling more alive. You're kind of getting a sense of renewal in terms of your career, where you may have been feeling a little off what it is that you really want to do, who it is that you really want to be. Again, for those of you who lost your positions or things happened when it came to work, or betrayals that took place during Libra season that could lead you into Scorpio season in terms of having to understand the art of betrayal and how to get on the other side of it. These things were there, kind of put you in a bit of a dark space, kind of messing with your emotions a bit, and now you're able to renew that energy, to get that brightness again, that shift, that light in the darkest corner, right? Light in the 8th house. And it's by embracing that energy. Also, I would say being able to understand, actually, I'll mention that in the personal, the November personal, about when Capricorn goes into Venus and how big this is going to be for you guys in terms of really loving on yourselves and understanding your beauty. And again, how you show up in the world and how people want to embrace you, social environments want to embrace you, and how you're going to be focused on that. But again, I'll bring that up in the personal. When it comes back to this energy of the Scorpio new moon, you are aware of your social power. Now, as you guys always know, as I say, where there is light, there is always dark. So on the shadow side of this energy, insecurities are going to be unearthed, okay? They're going to rush into you and look at you like shadows in the dark, asking you to befriend them. And it's important that you befriend these shadows. Get comfortable with your insecurities, because those insecurities are the things that have stopped you from really embracing your social identity and really showing the world what it is that you've got, all right? So as these insecurities come, do not be afraid. Understand that you're supposed to get on the other side of them. If it's here, if it's asking for change, or if it's telling you that you are not enough, most of it may be an illusion. On the other side, if you feel like it's under your control, get on the other side of it. Because where there is, I guess, this healing and transformational energy is you finally being able to show up in your social paradigm with all of the personal power that you have been waiting to achieve. Being able to really truly show people that all of these wounds have really transitioned you into being a bit of a sage, and that despite everything that has taken place, you have not given up. And in fact, it crafted you into being this really unique version of yourself that maybe prior or previously you didn't think was possible. And this is, again, when Pluto goes out of Capricorn and enters into Aquarius, as you get renewed and you are reborn, it's being able to finally kind of dust off all of the weight of the past 16 years and say you made it, right? And this new moon is a part of how you begin that journey as you take those steps. Again, more energy in work, more energy in who it is that you are around, being able to show up more socially, feeling more socially empowered. Focusing on your investments when it comes to social media as well. If you are in the position where you are out of work right now, or the divine removed what it is that you were doing in order to get you to focus more on yourself, use the power of social media. Use the power of your network, okay, in order to expand on what it is that you're doing. This is not a time to do things in the more traditional or conventional way. It's a time to understand the power of intentionality, the power of manifestation, and the character that's within you, and how that can bring about great results. That's the beauty of what Capricorn learns when it aligns itself with Scorpionic energy. Scorpionic energy reminds Capricorn that power begins within, and it's less about what it is that you do in the physical, and it's more about what you do in the internal seagoat. Remember who it is that you are, and what it is that Pluto, really, we're talking about more Scorpio energy, and Scorpio is ruled by Pluto. How is it that Pluto has transitioned you, transformed you, broken you, made you, created you into being someone that has so much more personal power than you did previously. So this is the kind of energy that you want to break out and transition yourself into. And again, these are some of the gifts of the Scorpio new moon. So embrace that, do it without apology, open yourself to that. Do not be afraid of the shadows. And remember, it begins within. You need to learn that you are, I guess, valuable without just what it is that you show or the practical means of what it is that you do. Put more intention and that will bring about the results that you're looking for, okay? I would say in terms of relationships, to touch on that for the Scorpio new moon, it's less about how you're showing up for other people and it's more about how other people are showing up for you. This is a time to pour more into yourself, even though we're looking at the 11th house and all this activation tied to your social life with Saturn and Chiron and all these different things. Again, it's you guys understanding that it begins with you. And that's where healthier bonds are formed for you. How are you showing up? What are your flaws? What do you contribute to the table or contribute to the conversation? Don't focus so much on the external, focus on the internal. Socialize. It's a very good time to socialize, to network, as I'm saying. But when you're doing so, don't focus on the other perspective. Focus on the internal perspective and expand it on the external. Okay? So that's, I think, what I've got for you. Yeah, we're going to get into the reading now. All right, so Capricorn, here we are with your card reading. First things first, when we're looking at what's going on in the subject matter, we see here the beautiful Nine of Cups. We've got the Knight of Pentacles and the Two of Cups in reverse. This energy is interesting because it feels very much like something that is going internal. This Two of Cups feels like an internal experience, like as if this Two of Cups is a dynamic where the intimacy in terms of you and again, this can be an individual, but what is going on in terms of the relationship sector is being internalized, as if this is going within. We have the Nine of Cups with the Knight of Pentacles, and this is clarified by engagement ring and cassette. So where is it that you are not realizing or acknowledging your own wish fulfillment? It's like asking you to take a step back, taking a step back from relationships, taking a step back from dynamics pertaining to other individuals. And this is kind of what I was saying, where it's like this energy feels internal, as if like this cup is going inside, going within you instead of connecting with another person on the outside of you. This is in alignment with what we see going on with magnetism of Eros, which is quite interesting. This pull between two things, two either individuals or again just your social dynamics, whatever kind of relationship this may be. But I'm just going to be very blunt here when I say it feels more like relationship dynamics. So when we're looking back at this feeling of satisfaction, what it is that you have created and built for yourself. This isn't a Nine of Pentacles, so it's not about the individual experience in terms of resting in you versus the other, but it's more about understanding what it is that you already have behind you. The fulfillment of your own life, the satisfaction of your own life, the ways in which your own cups have been filled based on your own manifestation. And another thing about the Nine of Cups in terms of an energy as well, the Nine of Cups is one of my favorite people. Whenever I think of the Nine of Cups, I think of the person that, lives life on their own terms, does things their own way, follows whatever their fulfillments are, follows whatever their passions are, and kind of doesn't move in a space of resistance with others. The Nine of Cups is an energy of your own self, worth or value, because you understand what it is that you can create, what it is that you can do, who it is that you are on your own, where your satisfaction lies in this sense. And this goes here with the Knight of Pentacles. And so in a lot of ways, this feels like you are slowly moving toward that understanding of self, because we see here that you have to break out of conditioning, replaying things in your mind. And this is accompanied here with unions, commitments, eternity, what it is that you're drawing yourself toward. How are you slowly moving toward the understanding of what it is that you have, who it is that you are, the abundance that lives with you, the things that sit with you, what you've poured into yourself. Obviously we see, you know, because this is the subject, right? This is what's going on when it comes to this new moon. There is a relationship that has turned itself upside down. And it's again, it's like you having to pour this into yourself because of some kind of imbalance with the outside, with the other. And how are you keeping yourself attached to and trapped to something that does not serve you, or someone that does not serve you, or an idea even that does not serve you? Just because it's flipped upside down does not mean that the cord is still not there. It's like you're having to understand who it is that you are, what is that still lives, what is that, it's like a new perspective on the self, getting out of condition, a new perspective on the self. When you're not being bound or too connected to how it is that you're being drawn in or taken in by the other. Let's see how this expands. When we're looking at the shadow, we've got the 7 of Cowrie upside down in reverse. We've got Omo Cutlass, and we've got Baba Calabash in reverse. So again, this fear that you're not on the right path, this fear that you're not in the right direction, that you're being distorted in terms of your perspective. Baba Calabash sitting in reverse as well. Again, this like emotional spill, this cup spilling over, emotional imbalance, fear of your own emotional destruction in that sense, not being able to navigate or control your emotions. This is how are you being affected by the other in a way that is taking you far beyond I was going to say prospects, but perspective that doesn't necessarily make sense. How are you missing out on your own cups? How are you misguided in terms of your own perspective? Because again, this isn't the 9 of Pentacles. This isn't in an energy of, you know, looking at the practical things and being able to kind of root yourself in the confidence of standing on your own amongst the crowd or next to another individual. But the 9 of Cups is a different kind of energy. It's a deep, deep sense of satisfaction. It's almost like a playful, fun-like energy, pouring back into the self, understanding that your cups are indeed full in your own way. Fall back in love with your own life in that sense. And obviously, as we see, you're slowly breaking yourself out of the conditioning that has maybe kept you trapped by the things that have kept you in unions or partnerships or ties or connections. But you are worried that you're not on the right path. You're worried that you're having this emotional imbalance. We see Omo Cutlass here, which is normally identified as the Page of Swords. So it's again going back into this space where it's like overthinking, perspective, kind of this almost like a little bit of a battle, almost like a little bit of a back and forth. How are your anxieties taking hold? Because the ways in which your connections or a connection or whatever is affecting the way that you are navigating in your own experiences, as if you're allowing the way in which you relate to and connect to others to affect so much of the way that you see yourself that it's distorting you. It's distorting you. It's creating an imbalance. It's creating a destruction or like a fall through or something along those lines. Obviously, we don't see any major arcanas here. Okay, so despite the fact that we're looking at a big Scorpio new moon, we're not seeing any heavy energy. This feels like a very simple story. This feels like a very simple story. And that story is what is going on in terms of you in relation to the other. Where are you putting yourself in a misguided direction because your anxiety tied to, again, feeling like you're not on the right path, you're not in this right connection or direction, or again, this emotional overspill. Have you been feeling emotionally imbalanced for a period of time? Like allowing, again, your connections, these unions, these partnerships, the ties that bind. And another thing about engagement ring is it is a ring, right? The way in which the ring finger, depending on, you know, various countries, it's either the right side or the left side. But in general, the ring finger, having a ring on it is an indication of infinity and the way that love is eternal That bond does not break. It's sitting on the circle. The circle is infinite. But how is it that these ties and these connections are here, but you're also going through this stuff where you're kind of stressing yourself out, not seeing things properly, not understanding your own value, maybe not understanding what it is that you have on your own, the ways in which you've lived life on your own terms. And like I keep saying, that's a Nine of Cups and not a Nine of Pentacles. It's the Nine of Pentacles is, yes, a more practical kind of pre-Empress energy in terms of sitting in singlehood, in that sense, sitting abundantly on your own. But the Nine of Cups is a different kind of energy. This is all very emotional. We see a Nine of Cups, we see a Two of Cups in the shadow, we see Baba Calabash in reverse. It's like this is very emotional. And it's all yin as well, because we see the Knight of Pentacles and we see the Seven of Pentacles here. It's well, the Seven of Cowrie is equated to the Seven of Pentacles. So again, we're seeing this very yin-like experience, but all in the minor arcana. It's a process of you slowly getting yourself out of misaligned perspectives due to the way in which your relationship dynamics have affected the way that you see yourself. You're breaking out of, it seems like, a bit of a spell tied to the way that you see yourself and how other people have been able to affect you. And kind of creating this feeling like the way that other people or another person in specific, but whatever it is in terms of the Two of Cups is you and the other. So for a lot of you, this can be a directly intimate relationship. And for others of you, my apologies, guys, we had a cut off. So going back to what it is I was saying. So yeah, we see it happening in this minor arcana. So clearly there's like a situation that is going on tied to this, but this doesn't feel heavy. There's nothing about this that feels heavy, dark, like a huge, intense weight lift. Again, even in the shadow, we see minor arcanas, okay? So this doesn't feel like it's going to take you out or push you through the dark depths of anything. Actually, this feels like a very good energy, a very light energy of you kind of stepping out of your own way. And for some of you, this could have been induced by a relationship not working out, or you in connection to, again, your social paradigm or an intimate relationship, whatever it is, that made a disconnection, that had an imbalance, that did not give you that plug-in, that return on investment. And it actually becomes this like catalyst to you being able to step out of your own way, to you being able to understand that another person or the other cannot rupture the way in which you see yourself, living life on your own terms. Okay, especially when it comes to the Nine of Cups, because the Nine of Cups is a deeply satisfied energy, very like the twin to the Nine of Pentacles, but it's less about practical material satisfaction or independence or comfort, and it's more about being able to kind of passionately live. Like I said, a lot of the time, the Nine of Cups for me is like the person that travels often, and I'm a big traveler myself, obviously, so. The person you always meet in the process of your journey who can live with very little means and lives life on their own terms. They invest more in plane tickets than they do maybe the practical things, right? But they're living just the same kind of independent and fully satisfied life that the Nine of Pentacles is, but they're doing it on their own terms. It's learning to fall back in love with yourself. And again, the things that are around you that have satisfaction, the fact that the cups that are still standing, all of these cups, the ways in which you've created your own blissful life, your own blissful experience, and that a lot of these things that are distorting your mind, the ways in which you've let your connections or your attachments to how other people think and feel, accept you, value you, want you, have distorted the ways in which you've seen yourself, especially when we're looking at that Seven of Pentacles, Baba Calabash with the Omo Cutlass. It just feels like a lot of thinking, a lot of kind of scrappy, kind of fighting energy, where you're questioning your own self-security. This doesn't feel like major insecurity, but it feels like way too much of a hyper focus on the other. If this is like work, you're way too focused on feeling maybe that maybe your clients are not content, feeling the ways in which you are misguiding yourself, or again, investing way too much when you're working on something or you're doing something, you're thinking way too much on how the other is perceiving it, how the other is taking it in. So it's stepping out of this. It's breaking out of this energy, okay? When we look at the the healing points, the advice, we've got what do you feel along with being the hunter, not the hunted. So again, we're going back into this space where be the hunter, not the hunted is a powerful energy, because it's about understanding how to step out of insecurity, how to step out of the space of vulnerability, right? Like take a deep breath, you know what I mean? And exhale, okay? Not just trusting your intuition, but allowing yourself to be your own authority, right? What is it that you feel? Focus on your perspective, not the perspective of other people. Don't focus on how other people are perceiving you or how they are accepting you, how they are embracing you, or if they're simply not, like we said with that Two of Cups in reverse. Whatever is not working, whatever unions did not come together, whatever you feel like you're not getting in terms of, just acceptance, right? If you feel rejection or anything along those lines, it's stepping into your own sense of self, step into your own sense of confidence, getting out of this like outdated thinking. Some of you can be putting yourself in spaces where you're unearthing insecurities and perspectives that could be very old. Which makes sense based on the transits and what's going on. But again, these things are just having you stand in your own way. They're having you distorted in your own perspective. Okay. So it's needing to step out of that self-distortion, focus on your own viewpoint, what the other is saying or what the outside perspective is perceiving, whether you're accepted or rejected, it begins with you. Be the hunter, not the hunted. You are the owl in charge here. The wisdom lies within yourself. And you have things to prove it. You have things to back it up. The Knight of Cups makes it very clear that you've manifested the life that you wanted for yourself. You've created the things that you wanted for yourself, especially with this Knight of Cups again, and it not being a Nine of Pentacles. Some of you can have things, your happiness and your satisfaction does not have to look conventional. And for a lot of you, a part of your insecurity is the fact that it's not conventional. It's like your life has been realized and you're slowly moving toward this understanding of that, breaking out of the ways in which you misconstrued yourself, maybe because you aren't a traditional Nine of Pentacles, because you are like kind of doing things your own way, or you did it in your own sense of self, right? Your own uniqueness in that way. All the ways in which Pluto transitioned you into creating your own paradigm, and how that paradigm has maybe caused you to put yourself in a space where you're way too focused on the judgment of others, at really having the outside perspective be able to tell you that you're not on the right path, or that your emotions are not in alignment. So when we look here at the healing point now, we see magnetism of Eros, and this is going along with Aurora of Gamma. So when we look at magnetism of Eros, we're going to read it. Both are fire elements, okay? Both are fire cards here. Magnetism of Eros is 1. And this is interesting, again, because we see a Two of Cups here in reverse, right? And magnetism of Eros is kind of like the Two of Cups upright, but in fire. Trust in what your heart yearns for without concern about how it will manifest. Take steps toward that which moves your heart. Reach out for what your soul wants and needs. Allow yourself to be vulnerable, for only then can you truly be held. That which appears out of reach or unavailable to you is closer than you realize. And this is backed up here by Aurora of Gamma, and she's kind of my Queen of Wands energy. Okay. It is time to let go of what has been. You are swiftly outgrowing your past. Explore and commit to a spiritual practice that supports your personal transformation so that you can cross the threshold before you now. Embrace your freedom to be creative in your approach rather than doggedly committing yourself to your previous ideas or plans. You have the spiritual intelligence necessary to evolve. Continue your healing journey with trust that a positive outcome is imminent. Okay? So what is interesting about the way in which these two cards are coming together is, yes, magnetism of Eros. I mean, Eros is love, right? It's understanding how to draw love toward you, how to draw connections and things toward you. Allowing yourself to be vulnerable, because only then can you truly be held. That which appears out of reach to you or unavailable is closer than you realize. But it also is backing you up with letting you know that you need to outgrow your past, and you are swiftly outgrowing that said past. So what's interesting about this energy is the way in which it is saying, do not allow yourself to sit inside the insecurity of what did not work. Okay? And especially if we're looking at magnetism of Eros, for those of you who are dealing with love dynamics, do not focus on the relationships that have not worked. They're allowing you to sit in a space of insecurity, overthinking, imbalance. You are outgrowing your past. You are outgrowing your old paradigm. Okay? You really need to ground yourself in the reality of your Nine of Cups energy. And obviously we see that this is a slow process. You are gradually getting out of old perspectives and aligning with new perspectives, aligning with new partnerships, aligning with what actually serves you for the better, and no longer attaching yourself to things that did not serve you previously, or again, old ideas or plans, okay? Old ideas and perspectives. You are outgrowing this. You are outgrowing what once lived. Especially when we're looking at people, it could be outgrowing your old relationship paradigm, your old perspective about relationship paradigms. And when we're seeing fire, fire purifies through burning. You know, fire, we often think of purity and we don't often think of fire. But fire is the kind of thing, when you embrace fire, when it comes to the healing journey, oh my goodness, fire leaves room for new earth. If you want new, you have to let it all burn. The purification of heat is required here. You are attracting in what it is that you want, but it's through understanding what did not serve, what sits in the way of you understanding your own self-perspective. And just because the connection is not being made or plugged in together does not mean that you are not in your own wish fulfillment. You're having to understand how these misaligned perspectives or misaligned connections have caused you to think that you are not on the right path, that you are not in balance, and you're emotionally imbalanced, or whatever it may be, overthinking and all these things. Like, be the hunter, not the hunted. What do you feel? Focus on what's actually going on inside of yourself and not how it may seem on the outside. Some of you could have also been dealing with situations where misaligned connections can cause things like manipulation, putting you in a space where you're focused on outdated thinking and conditioning, and then repeating certain cycles and not attracting in, not having the magnetism to the kind of dynamics that actually serve who it is that you are. You're letting go of your past. You're letting go of this conditioning, which is a powerful moment for you right now. And like I said, this is not dark. This energy feels very beautiful. It feels very progressive, very much a forward moving kind of energy that you're experiencing right now. Because if this is a bright moon. You know, we are looking at the Scorpio energy, and Scorpio can be dark, but of course, you know, Capricorn is not afraid of the dark. This is a very, very progressive push forward. Very, very progressive push forward. And it feels empowering, and it feels happy. It feels like you're navigating through your own bliss and not being afraid of moving slowly and refining toward that as you're consciously breaking out of the old and consciously moving into the new. All right, so let me move this a little bit. Okay. So I wanted to show you guys what we've got going on at the bottom of the deck, right? So at the bottom of the tarot, we've got the Eight of Pentacles in reverse, right? Understanding what works and what does not work. At the bottom of the Clarity deck, we've got Hand of Cards, which is risk, gambling, not showing your hand, understanding the various options in front of you. Again, this feels like kind of like what we were saying in terms of a social paradigm shift, right? Like understanding where the options are. You're doing a lot of internal stuff, or a lot of internal shifting, right? And this internal shifting is more of it's like an emotional awareness, like a deep emotional awareness of what it is that you still have for yourself. We've got the Six of Cups at the bottom of the deck. So the past, right? Again, the way the past has been influencing you, whether you realize it or not, it's outdated thinking, old conditionings that are causing the imbalances that you've been experiencing in the modern day. The ways in which relationships have not served you have been causing these like insecurities. I'm sorry, Capricorn. Okay, so again, we got cut off. I had to delete some memory. So, going beyond normal, okay, is at the bottom of the advice deck. And that makes it very clear that, again, there's whatever imbalance has taken place. And for most of you, like I said, it's some kind of relationship dynamics that are pretty much putting you in a space where you are having to heal from whatever that is. I don't see major amounts of pain here, but for some of you, it can be pain, it can be difficult, it can be uneasy. Again, because we see in the shadow, we've got the Seven of Pentacles in reverse with Baba Calabash in reverse as well. I mean, you're talking about emotional turmoil and incapability of controlling the emotions or navigating the emotions, feeling emotionally unstable in the worst way. Because when we see Baba, we see King. When we're looking at king energy, we're talking about the masculine being able to control the cups. And when the masculine cannot control the cups, then, the entire kingdom falls by the wayside, It's like watching a great man fall in that way, right? Feeling like you're not on the right path and you don't even know what the right path will be for you, really. And this has been born from some kind of relationship imbalance. Like I said, this can be someone or for like a romantic situation that has fallen through. But again, if it's whatever's happening on the outside is reflective of what's going on the inside, your social paradigm has seen a shift. Connections that you may have wanted to come together did not come together. Some kind of rejection, some kind of misalignment has been created the catalyst for this growth. But it's important for you to analyze your own emotions. Be the hunter, not the hunted. Does the relationship actually serve? Does the connection actually serve? Does the community, does the work environment actually serve? You can get what it is that you desire, because we see here very clearly that what it is that you manifest is looking for you too. What it is that you desire wants you as well, but you have to outgrow your past. You have to go beyond normal and do things differently than the way you thought. As you sit inside your emotional body and you realize, be the hunter, not the hunted. You align with your own, not just your own intuition, but again, your personal strength. Instead of internalizing things, it's understanding who it is that you are on your own. Okay, understanding the value of who it is that you are on your own. And like I said, this is not an easy energy, because where we see the Knight of Pentacles, this is a process for you to get out of old conditioning and old thought patterns with yourself. You have to go beyond the normal situation of what you would have normally done previously and in your past. At the bottom of the healing deck, we've got Karma of Kulata, and that is all about, that's kind of my Ace of Swords, and it's understanding, cutting through the passion, cutting through and creating clarity within the clouds in that sense. Underneath that, we had Sacred Scar, which is all about wounded wisdom, and Abadiah as well, which is coming in talking about understanding that you're divinely protected, and what you know in your heart to be true can come into fruition, that you're protected in that case. The Sacred Scar is also a fire energy as well. So again, it's kind of my wounded warrior. So it's going back into the space of understanding the clarity that the wounds that you've acquired, the pain that you are experiencing was meant to refine you. It's going to take you into the next step. You are not undeserving. What it is that you desire is not something that cannot come into fruition. Okay? It's a matter of understanding that you are being redirected to something completely different. Really to understand what really serves you and what actually works for you, instead of what you think works for you that has not. So we're going to get some clarity here. What is it that you need to be thinking? So thinking, feeling, knowing. And then I had doing at the bottom of the deck. So we've got thinking, feeling, knowing. And at the bottom of the deck, in terms of doing, we had the sun. Okay. Excuse me. So it's all pretty powerful energy in terms of what it is that needs to be in your mind. We've got two swords here. This is all fire and air, so a lot of yang energy. And then with the sun, in terms of what it is that you need to be doing, that's more yang energy. So stepping into your masculine, even though what's going on in the subject is all about the cups, but you need to be using your masculine energy to cut through the fog in that sense. In your mind, it needs to be trusting in your intuition. Again, knowing what is in your heart to be true, not being affected by what it is that you are experiencing on the outside, but going within yourself and understanding to put that blindfold on and trusting in your intuition. What is it you need to be feeling is the Nine of Wands. It's understanding that yes, you have been wounded, but you can get to the other side. It has been a difficult journey, but you are on the path to the other side. You've been beaten up, but you have not been defeated. Okay, you have been dealing with the difficulty tied to your social paradigms, tied to your relationship matters, but you have not been defeated. Thinking, feeling, knowing is the Nine of Swords. So in terms of that Nine of Swords, it's letting you know that your anxieties, yes, it's not the Eight of Swords, but it's understanding that you have been putting yourself in a nightmare. Acknowledge and recognize the nightmare. Get on top of the nightmare. Yes, you have been wounded. We've got the two nines here. You have been wounded, but you are not defeated. Do not let this energy take over. Do not let the nightmare take over you, okay? It's understanding that the anxiety is living within your own mind. That's what it is that you need to know. Whatever has happened is not a damnation and it's not a finalization. It's a redirection, okay? Simply a redirection. And then again, with the sun being at the bottom of the deck, that tells you everything that you need to know. Knowing that this is a nightmare, the anxiety is in your own mind and you are driving yourself into insanity, looking at things from an incorrect manner. Yes, you have been wounded, but again, you have not been defeated. Step into the space of the sun, okay? This is one of, some say the happiest card in the deck. I think it's subjective. But when we're looking at the sun energy, it's the illumination of all things bright and beautiful. Okay? Step into the parts of your life. We see again with that Nine of Cups. Step into the parts of your life that show you your own abundance, right? Your own wish fulfillments, your own joys, your own blisses, your own love in that sense, right? See the parts of your life that are shining. And stepping out of whatever social paradigms that have not served, whether it's now, whether it's in your past, whatever it is that you've dealt with in the process of taking the shift, right? It's stepping out of outdated conditioning, the pain. It's, as we said, swiftly outgrow your past, align with what really wants to align with you. Magnetism of Eros is all about magnetizing with love, okay? You align with that energy when you step into a space of the sun. Illuminate the light. Okay, as you illuminate that light, you understand what it is that you are actually deserving of. It's not getting lost in this nightmare. Not letting other people be the hunter, not the hunted. Not letting other people in the outside paradigm affect you negatively. Okay? So this is interesting. No surprises here because we see again the new moon in Scorpio, the newness, the setting intentions, because when you're meditating with the new moon, you're setting intentions for a new paradigm, for a new experience. And this Scorpio new moon is a big deal, obviously, because like I said, we see a lot of things happening because of the transits that are taking place during this time. And these transits taking place during this time is about, again, 11th house renewal. Social renewal. Okay? So that's what I have for you. I love you. Ciao.